Welcome to our lesson on presentation plan and delivery. Today, you're going to learn how to identify, plan, and deliver longer oral presentations on a variety of topics using details and evidence to support ideas. In part 1, we're going to review types of presentations. So what is a presentation? A presentation is a speech or talk that you give to an audience with the purpose of informing, persuading, or entertaining. In informal presentations, the speaker or writer is trying to provide or give information on a topic for specific goals or reasons. In persuasive presentations, the speaker or writer is trying to convince an audience to believe something that he or she believes. In entertaining presentations, the speaker or writer is trying to get the audience to smile, relax, enjoy, and laugh. Here's a quick tip. It's important to have this purpose in mind before you plan your presentation, because purpose will affect content and flow. Now let's review an example. Please read this now. What type of presentation do you think this is? This is an example of an entertaining presentation because it states that the annoying brother is singing. They say jumping out of the car, and it uses storytelling words like imagine. Now read the second example. What type of presentation do you think this is? It is an informational presentation because it is discussing goal setting to inform the audience about the importance of goals. And finally, please read the third example. What type of presentation is it? This is a persuasive presentation because the speaker or writer is trying to convince the audience to believe that professional female athletes should be paid the same as male athletes playing in the same sport. Now it's your turn. You're going to read different excerpts from different types of presentations and identify the purpose. All right, now let's review the purpose and details. The purpose was persuasive. So what details supported our answer? The writer said students should be paid for getting good grades. It seems they want others to believe this too. They said if students were paid to get good grades in school, they would definitely try harder, and if students were not getting good grades, they would improve their grades if money was involved. Now you're going to read this second example. Let's identify the purpose and details. The purpose is entertaining. So what detail supported our answer? The detail that proves this is entertaining could be the final sentence. But there's something about getting into the passenger seat of a car while I'm driving that turns them into stressed out maniacs. It is meant to make the reader smile or laugh. And finally, we have our third example. All right, time to identify the purpose and details. The purpose was informational. What details supported our answer? The writers provided information about communication skills and how important they are. They also discuss a reason why communication skills are essential. Also, they share a study that tells that people who are effective communicators are more successful in different areas of their lives. Next, we're moving on to part 2, concepts of register and supporting details. I want you to know your audience. Knowing your audience helps you to determine the style of language or register that we should use. We could be presenting to fellow students, to teachers, employers, or other people of authority. Remember to use formal language instead of informal language. Add supporting details. Supporting details will strengthen the purpose of your presentation, whether it is to inform, persuade, or entertain the audience. Remember that supporting details must be relevant or connected to the topic. Evidence is details from the text, while elaboration is your thinking, synthesis, and explanation of that evidence. Read the topic and the supporting information. Identify the type of supporting details being used, such as example, evidence, or elaboration in the following examples. In example 1, the topic is stargazing. Stargazing can be as simple as pointing out the stars in the sky, or as complex as searching for constellations while looking through a telescope. The supporting information used here is evidence. In our next example, the topic is venomous snakes. According to the World Health Organization, 600 species of snakes are venomous and are considered truly dangerous to humans. The supporting information used here is elaboration. Now, in part 3, let's move on to informative presentations. These are the steps for creating an informative presentation. First, identify your audience, introduce the topic, explain its relevance or importance to the audience, make main points or talking points related to the topic, and finally, add supporting details to reinforce the main points. Now let's see the parts of a persuasive presentation. First, we want to identify the audience, introduce the problem or situation, describe the proposed solution, use supporting details to justify the solution, and finally, emphasize the benefits to make the audience feel comfortable about the proposed solution. Moving on to part 5, let's review entertaining presentations. In an entertaining presentation, you need to think about your audience. Is the audience your friends, family, peers, or coworkers? This will influence your speaking style. Entertaining presentations can use a mix of both informal and formal language. Next, identify the occasion or situation. Are you making the presentation for a wedding, an awards banquet, or a class project? Establish the goal or purpose. Develop a clear message to your audience. And finally, finish with an interesting takeaway or punchline. Now it's time for our recap, so let's review. Let's practice identifying the elements of a persuasive presentation now. Good afternoon, members of the Student Council. I would like to propose that all students take a foreign language class for at least 2 years. Students who can speak more than one language have a significant competitive advantage over students who could speak only one language. In fact, the demand for bilingual professionals is rising every year. Studies suggest that a minimum of 2 years of foreign language study is needed to gain proficiency, so we should make this a requirement. Who is the audience? They are the members of the Student Council. What is the situation? Students who do not speak a second language are at a professional disadvantage. What is the proposed solution? Students will be required to take at least 2 years of foreign language study. And what are the supporting details to justify the solution? Studies show that 2 years of foreign language study is needed to gain proficiency. What are the benefits of the solution? Increased career opportunities and improved thinking skills. Now let's practice identifying the elements of an entertaining presentation. Good evening, faculty, friends, and family of Mrs. Olson, our Teacher of the Year. I was asked to introduce her this evening by telling you why I think she deserves this distinguished award. Since the award comes with a $5,000 check, I think she will probably use this money wisely to buy her students new cellular phones and laptops. I'm looking forward to having pizza parties at least once a week in her classroom since she is always thinking of her students. Mrs. Olson also deserves this award because she works so hard to make our science class interesting. I remember the time we were learning about DNA and Mrs. Olson came to class dressed up as a chromosome. Now, this is no easy task. She was willing to tape bubble wrap around her waist and in her hair in the name of science. And finally, I believe that Mrs. Olson deserves this award because she is one of the coolest and most creative teachers that I have ever known. Who is the audience? Faculty, friends, and Mrs. Olson's family members. What is the occasion? It's a celebration of Mrs. Olson earning the Teacher of the Year award. What is the proposed solution? It's an award ceremony for Teacher of the Year. What's the message to the audience? Mrs. Olson is a great teacher who cares about her students. What is the takeaway or punchline? Mrs. Olson was a creative and fun teacher who was willing to tape bubble wrap around her body to teach about chromosomes. Finally, we're going to practice identifying the elements of an informative presentation. Greetings, fellow classmates. I would like to give you some information about the importance of having a school-wide plan to increase recycling on campus. Schools often produce a tremendous amount of waste with instructional materials, used electronics, and food. One estimate is that 24% of school waste is recyclable paper and 50% is food waste and non-recyclable paper that can be composited. Teachers and students can work collaboratively to reduce the amount of waste produced. A successful school-wide recycling plan is good for the environment and can be a lot of fun. Lastly, by working together on a recycling program, we will more likely carry these habits into our adult years. Who is the audience? Awesome, they are the students. What is the topic of the presentation? It is the need for increased recycling on campus. Why is this topic important to the audience? This is good for the environment. What are some of the main points related to the topic? School waste can be recycled or composited. Teachers and students can work together to reduce waste. Recycling is good for the environment and can be fun. And what are the details that support these main points? 24% is recyclable paper and 50% is food waste and paper that can be composited. Recycling habits carry into adulthood. Awesome job! So today we learned how to identify, plan, and deliver longer oral presentations on a variety of topics using both details and evidence to support our ideas. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel, ESL Class for You.